All right, well, I got to show you some facts. Let's go to the book cam. Let's get real with this. This is the limits to growth document. Okay, limits to growth. Dennis Meadows, Donella Meadows. We're going to see them 30 years later in the update. But this is the report for the Club of Rome's project on the predicament of mankind. Now, that predicament of mankind, it looks something like this. Okay. 1970, a proposal, a quest for structured responses for growing worldwide complexities and uncertainties. And the result of this report from the Club of Rome in 1970 is as follows. They desire, first, the project described herein, undertaken by the Club of Rome and dealing with the empirical aspects of the situation, its morphology and interrelationships that operate among its components. This will be a rough modeling phase. And the second, a subsequent more ambitious phase, hopefully be undertaken by the World Forum. Well, a year later, the people who brought you this document, they bring you a guy named Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum. We're going to get to that in a second. So it starts with limits to growth and the predicament of mankind. That is the problematique that is discussed still 30 years later. So these people, same people, say 30 years later, they're still working for the Club of Rome on this limits to growth problem. Now, that means you can't have population growth because the earth won't sustain it. So they're going to have to depopulate and demechanize, decivilize the planet to make this come true. But they're 30 years into it by the time they get to this book. Well, let's get to the 20th century. They're, right here, this is closer to the 20th century. First global revolution, a report by the Council of the Club of Rome. Same group of people, Club of Rome, same gist that they're trying to get to. And by the time you get to their chapter on not food security, here it is right here. The common enemy of humanity is man. So they just make us the enemy. In searching for a new enemy to unite us, we came up with the idea that pollution, the threat of global warming, water shortages, famine, and the like would fit the bill. In their totality and in their interactions, these phenomena do constitute a common threat which demands the solidarity of all peoples, right? So they need something that brings everyone together. The real enemy then is humanity itself. But wait, there's more. You got Klaus Schwab still advancing this idea. He calls it now the fourth industrial revolution. This is the pre-COVID talk. And then once the COVID happened, they called it the Great Reset. It is still the predicament of mankind, and the Club of Rome limits the growth, planning to de-civilize, to de-modernize the planet. And they do it, in plain sight. All you have to do is read their books.
And I'd take it one step.
Please do.
Add more step there. The Fabian socialists before them, from like a social theory perspective. So like now they're weaponizing it through science, but before it's a social science theory. Before that, it's the emergence of the new scientific theory in the 19th century, the X Club and stuff like that. So you can see how it's out of Huxley, like theological, philosophical, all these different that Gatto outlines, you can sort of see like it's a justification for why they're, or at least a rationalization for why they are elite and get the opportunity to try to, bring in their new world order or whatever they want to call it.
So I'm looking for the big thing that would unite everybody. They could have had aliens. They could have had global freezing. They decided on global warming, climate change. And this is what they've brought up over since 1970, longer than I've been alive. They've been trying to give us fear porn to embrace the idea of climate change.
That's correct. It hasn't stopped. I mean, it's ramped. It seems like they've settled the climate change as being the supranational sort of problem that will allow for these international bodies or agencies to help, the governments of the world manage it. That seems to be the one they settled on. That's a good point, because they've considered and they've talked about literally their own memos like alien invasion. Wasn't this Kissinger talking about this back in like the 70s or something?
When Reagan comes, like, certainly considered it. Yeah, these things are talked about over time.
Not to say alien invasion is real. Yeah,
but they would use it as psychological warfare.
You got it. Yeah, like what would make mankind come together? Sort of arguments. So
Club of Rome said it was global warming, pollution, overpopulation, overproduction. Yeah,
nuclear war.
It all goes in the same place. It goes to tyranny.
Famine. Yeah, exactly.
Real fast. real
Right.
fast. And they do talk in that book about how the media will have to change over the next 30 years in order to embrace this idea. We can't just have people publishing ideas that are outside the narrative. They talk about that at the end of the 30-year update. Maybe we can look at that later.
What makes autonomy uniquely empowering? Autonomy is a self-help course unlike any other. Over the course of our 12-week program, you'll experience weekly live lectures from Richard Grove, specifically designed to equip you with the skills you need to set yourself free. Free from the learned helplessness taught in our schools, free from the dependence on a corrupt system that serves only to uphold the rich, free from the structure of your 9-to-5 if that's your prerogative. Plus, you'll enter into a community of like-minded individuals who are pursuing the same freedom you are, and who'll support you and learn alongside you every step of the way. A lifetime of community and the tools to live however you want. We can't wait to meet you. Learn more at getautonomy.info.